गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं भवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणान् ब्रह्मणस्पदानशृण्वन्नोतभिस्सीदसादनम् ॐ महागणाधिपतये नमः। प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीपति धीनामवत्र्यवतु। ॐ महासरस्वत्यै नमः। हरिः ओम्। असतो मा सत्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मुच्चोर्मा संगमय। ओम शांति शांति शांति। मातृदेवो भव पितृदेवो भव आचार्य देवो भव अतिथिदेवो भव। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परम ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। वागर्धेविव संपृक्तौ वागर्ध प्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। हयग्रीव 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 यो वदेत् तस्य निस्सरते वाणी जग्नु कन्या प्रवाहवत्। हरिः ओम्। अद्य वेद संस्कृति सभायाम् 1/80 चर्चा कार्यक्रमं आरम्भं कुर्मः। अद्य वक्ता डॉक्टर श्रीनिवास शास्त्री महोदय स्वागतं व्याहरामि। नमस्कारः महोदय, आगच्छन्तु। अद्य कार्यक्रमम् आरम्भं कुर्मः। भवान् परिचयं करोमि। भवान् वैद्यवृत्त्या स्वतः वैद्यवृत्ति अस्ति, परन्तु सनाधर्म कार्यक्रमे बहु साधना कृतवान्। भवतः परिचयं यदा भवान् दत्तवान् तदा व्याहरामि। सर्वेभ्यः स्वागतं कृत्वा परिचयं करोमि। Profile of Dr. Malladi Srinivasa Sastry. His formal medical education and practice spanned across India, UK, and Singapore over the last 2 decades, where he had teams and developed services in advanced psychiatric hospitals. With the zeal to teach, he has the faculty in various medical schools in UK and later in Singapore, where he taught medical students, junior doctors, and medical colleagues. He also conducted several training programs, delivered talks, conducted workshops in international conferences, and has publications in medical journals. His values, propounded in spirituality and social responsibility, was manifestation in the works such as Samskrita Bharati movement, spreading ancient Indian language in UK and Singapore, pioneering rural health clinic Arogya Raksha near Visakhapatnam, India, www.arogyaksha.com, and finally dedicating his life energy in Soham that spreads universal ancient wisdom for the modern generation. www.sohamvidya.in is his website. In the spare time behind his primary works in rural health clinic and clinical physiatry practice in the Visakhapatnam city, Dr. Malladi is seen actively involved in local communities engaging youth in schools, colleges to raise awareness about mental health and primary health care. His life mission is the common modern man. His life mission is dedicated in spreading the essence of ancient wisdom of Sanatana Dharma and making it relevant for the common modern man. His activities include spoken Sanskritam workshops and teaching exams of Samskrita Bharati, Oriental Sanskritam course on a Samskrita Bharati as a Samskrita Bharati Karyakarta, and conduct webinars and workshops on application of principles of Sanatana Dharma in personal and social development. These webinars are conducted in English and Telugu. Recently, he began teaching Bhagavad-Gita to adults in Telugu and also started a social welfare organization, www.hindumitra.org and www.facebook.com Hindu Mitram, which trains individuals in practice of Sanatana Dharma and its propagation, in supporting the common, empowering individuals and families on base of universal spiritual principles of Sanatana Dharma. It's a great and it's a fortune for us to invite such a versatile modern allopathic doctor with psychiatric bent of mind, or get psychiatric treatment bent of mind, and the nature of helping the society in various fields. And particularly, most of the ideas of Veda Samskruti Samiti is similar to what Dr. Sastry is working on. We also work for Samskrita Bharati programs. We conduct classes for Samskrita Bharati examinations regularly. Every day, 3 hours class runs for Sanskritam. And we conducted many vargas of Samskrita Bharati. Under our last 10 years, we are working for that. Veda Samskruti is working for Samskrita Bharati activities. And we are conducting regularly webinars for Sanatana Dharma propagation and education to the younger generations. So it is our fortune to have Sastry, Mr. Srinivasa Sastry here in our platform to give his lecture on the subject. It is a high time we practice and preach and teach Sanatana Dharma. That is the heading of this today's program. I request Dr. Sastry to start his program. Dhanyavadaha. Namaskar. Swagatam.
Sarvebhyaha namo namaha. Am I audible? Can I just make sure that my audio is coming through all right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Namaste punaha. Aham prathamawaram atra agacchami. Mahodayam api idanimeva mama parichayam idanimeva prathamawaram asti ataha punaha akella prabhakara sarva mahodayam api aham dhanyavadam vyaharami. Today's topic is going to be delivered in English upon the request. So I will switch to English now, and I hope to kind of make it an interactive session wherever it is possible. I have a PowerPoint presentation, and kindly stay muted in case so that we don't have any disturbances of other extraneous sounds coming and disrupting the environment for us to have a joint learning exercise. But wherever there is an interaction time, we will surely be vocal enough and talk about it and debate it wherever necessary. I'm going to stick to the title as it is, and there are reasons why I chose this title specifically. So, dear friends, it is high time we practice and propagate Sanatana Dharma. An important note about this is that beyond an academic curiosity we often have in talks, this I would like to be an educational talk aiming to bring a collective civilizational change of attitude towards practice and propagation of cosmic truth called Sanatana Dharma. Now, I'm not saying that this particular group here is not enlightened, and please pardon me if it comes across that way, but it is meant to be an open a discussion to the open community so that we can all learn together with humility. We had an invocation earlier on, but I will once again make an invocation. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. My guru is Narada Maharshi, and he is an inspiration for us to really be embarking on this journey of promoting Sanatana Dharma. Narada represents what we would consider as Sampurna Bhakti. His Nitya Narayana Namasmarana with a Sharanagati is there for us all to be inspired with. He tirelessly propagated Sanatana Dharma, and he had Samadrashti. If you look at how he approached various disciples of his, they were not just devatas, they were asuras as well. Not a child alone, but they were adults. Not a rich one, but also a poor person. He mentored them all with equanimity. And he was a friend to all. He was fearless. And he taught them all in an easy way. Our mission, therefore, of Hindu Mitra and Soham Vidya, there are two platforms which you have heard. Our mission is to reach all humanity, irrespective of the background. And we want to help people discover their innate Sanatana Dharma. Everyone is born into Sanatana Dharma. That is how the cosmos runs. And therefore, the spiritual essence and the experience in their daily life can be nurtured just by rekindling or putting them in touch with their innate Sanatana Dharma. I have two jobs at hand when I do these kind of presentations. One is my science Dharma that ensures that I do not claim what I don't know. And my Sanatana Dharma ensures that I declare what needs to be told, because that's the truth. I would like to remind us all at what time we are right now and how time passed in the world where once Sanatana Dharma was all pervasive. So across the world, there was a time before advent of the exclusive, intolerant, expansionist, destructive, and monopolizing monotheistic religions, when the essence of the eternal cosmic truth, which we call Sanatana Dharma, and it can be called differently in different parts of the world, was understood and practiced. Things like the concept of incarnation, ancestral worship, where the Romans, the Africans, the Americans, Native Americans, of course, Indians, we see that practices have been very common in the ancient world, later relabeled as paganism and discarded away to be a myth or full manifestation of the cosmic divinity as well. We understand, looking through various literature sources of ancient and modern times, where there have been advanced spiritual researchers in the form of rishis, in the form of philosophical thinkers, as well as the modern spiritual researchers who haven't been by design spiritual researchers, but were by profession psychologists or psychiatrists and have embarked on a spiritual aligned research. So spiritual concepts have been discussed in detail from ancient times, and there are striking similarities in the accounts of various proponents at different times and geographical settings. These include Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-Gita, Viveka Chudamani, Tibetan Buddhist texts, Greek philosopher Plato, and more recently, the near-death studies, past life therapy studies, and reincarnation research of Raymond Moody, Brian Weiss, Michael Newton, Ian Stevenson, and so on, numerous of them. I put here an excerpt from one of the articles in Religion's Journal, which summarizes at the end as this: evidential sources from diverse fields of research, as well as a growing body of ethnographic and therapeutic accounts, strongly support a historical trajectory in which reincarnation has become an increasingly believable possibility without dependency upon any specific religious conviction. So that's as good as saying that reincarnation is to be accepted as a fundamental truth for us to, for our existence. I propose, which is nothing new for most of us, that we should stick to certain basic foundations of this eternal cosmic reality, and that I call as pillars of Sanatana Dharma. Unless these are fundamentally accepted, a practitioner may not be called as a follower of Sanatana Dharma. And this clarity and precision is important, because one of the flaws or one of the problems that we have in adherence of Sanatana Dharma or the Hindu practice for that matter, because Hindu is a word loosely used to denote those who practice and practice Sanatana Dharma. But when you dig deep into an individual's practice, or whether they have conceptually understood what it is, which I do often, which I make an effort to meet people and try to interact with them, it takes a lot of time for them to really understand that fundamentally they have not really kind of understood the concepts of Sanatana Dharma. And only when you remind them that they accept, yes, that's true. So that shouldn't be the case. I think it should be very clear from any particular religious denomination. When I say religious denominations, the Shen Matas that we have, or for that matter, any Sampradayas, we have to have a common foundational understanding in this aspect. And it's not me saying it, whether I'm sure whichever texts you read, they have come to this common understanding. So Paramatma, Atma, Karma Punarjanma, Moksha, and the Marga that we reach, attain Moksha, would be the Dharma and Yoga. What is Sanatana Dharma in one word? Perhaps I wish to ask the audience if you can put it in one word. What is Sanatana Dharma? If you can kindly unmute and say what you think would be Sanatana Dharma in one word.
1 minute. Those who want to speak can raise their hand, or you want me to unmute everybody?
Yeah, maybe just unmute everybody. That's all right.
You all can unmute whosoever wants to speak.
Namaskar. Gautam Mukherjee. So actually, what I understood is Sanatana means actually eternal, and plus it has meaning of absolute. See, everything is looks relative in the world, but
Right.
it is
Sorry,
just,
sir. Sorry, sir. We'll just stick to one word. I just want this to be an exercise of just one word. What comes to what one word comes to your mind?
Can I come in, please, Ramakrishna?
Yeah.
In my understanding, the Sanatana Dharma is only for the purpose of moksha.
Moksha. Okay, great. Thank you. Moksha. What is Sanatana Dharma? Ramakrishna ji says moksha. Okay, I want to hear more words, please. Any other words that you can think of? Kindly participate. Way of life. Okay, that's not one word. Okay, next. Anything else?
Philosophy.
Sorry?
Philosophy.
Philosophy. Well, philosophy is a bit too loose a word, isn't it? It doesn't, philosophy can be anything else too. Okay, thanks for trying anyway. Yeah, Ramya Reddy, please.
Unmute and talk.
Hello, Mahodaya.
Yeah.
I am Achireddin Raman,
Sorry.
Hyderabad. So there are two roots in Vedic literature for Sanatana Dharma. Sana means Sada. Sada plus
Yeah.
Sada is
Sorry, sir. I think yeah. I'm not asking about the technical definition here. I'm just asking about what comes to your mind if you just think of Sanatana Dharma in one word.
Yes. In one word only I'm going to say. Sana means Sada plus till Pracha is there. Sanatana means ever expanding or eternally expanding. Another meaning also is there, but that is a difficult thing. In one word, it is eternally expanding thing.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Right. So I'm just going to remove the slide for a moment. The reason I've done that is we have 39 people. I just don't worry about what words you say. It's okay to go wrong. Just utter a word. I want to hear words because this is exactly the issue we have.
Namaste, Mahoday.
Yeah. So we have an issue here. Just a minute, please. Yeah. So this is an issue we have fundamentally because a lot of us have got used to listening. Listening isn't only going to be helpful for us. We have to communicate effectively, even if we make mistakes. So I want you all to please come up with whatever comes to your mind, even if you're wrong, no worries.
Yeah, yes, please. It is. I think that the Sanatana Dharma can be called as a principle for man to follow. Principles.
Sanatana Dharma means seva.
Ah, fantastic. Okay, now we are hearing seva. Somebody says seva. Okay, good to hear that. Okay, more words. I want to hear more words.
The seva guided by the gurus, not others.
That's okay, sir. It's okay. We don't need to worry about the further additions of it. Seva. I'm glad people
Values.
are now opening up.
Okay.
Values.
Followers of Vedas.
Veda. So the Mahodaya now says Veda, follower of Veda. Okay, next.
Ever existing.
Ever existing. Okay, eternal. Yeah.
Anadi.
Anadi. Okay, thank you.
Always there.
Anadi. So there is no beginning. I guess there is no end to Anadi. Okay.
Values.
Everlasting. Okay.
Values.
Okay. So that's fine. Thank you. I think we need to obviously also make sure our time is valued. So we heard a few important words: everlasting and seva and such. when we hear these words, they actually would give us a flavor of what Sanatana Dharma is. But ultimately, we are missing a few fundamental points there. It is the journey. It is all about Atman. It is Atma Vidya. And we have not been actually mentioning the very word Atman or the Paramatman or Atma Vidya or the Bhagavan. It is the truth. Sanatana Dharma is the truth, absolute truth. So I'm sure these are the words I have thought to be very important, but I'm also glad to hear many other words. All right. Sanatana Dharma is a perfect system you wish to have. It guides you naturally. It keeps you in the path of seeking the absolute truth. There is Loka Kalyana involved in it. Sanatana Dharma navigates you through multiple complex dimensions of your existence. It is multidimensional. It is not unidimensional. There is the spiritual aspect. There is the societal aspect. It guides you how to lead your life in the society as a grihastha, for instance. It guides you how to lead a life of an individual, how to be a professional, and how to think logically. So this is a multidimensional kind of an approach that it helps you to deal with, especially in this current complex world where we have multiple layers of our life. It helps you understand your relation with yourself, the society, the nature, and the cosmos. And it doesn't apply just to the humans. It actually applies to everything in the universe. The interesting thing is, I'm no expert in Sanatana Dharma. I don't have a Shastra Jnana. I haven't come from any traditional background of education. But I believe that Sanatana Dharma can be tapped into just by your own effort to stay in touch with the cosmic truth. Ingrained in it is the scientific method of inquiry, and even with advanced scientific discoveries, which will be expected in time to come, Sanatana Dharma will stay eternal as it is not bound by time. So this is a Vidya. As I mentioned the word Atma Vidya, Sanatana Dharma is Atma Vidya. And this Vidya can be gained through surrender to a beloved Guru, dedicated scriptural reading, or more importantly, by exploring ourselves within. And the core aspects of Sanatana Dharma ultimately are, it's the truth, it's love, everlasting, constant, and unchanging. It is not affected by time nor space. It encourages the openness to learn. It empowers us to question with a scientific method of inquiry. It guides us. It is not dogmatic. It guides us, but yet liberates us to be on the path of seeking truth. This is a fundamental difference between Sanatana Dharma and religions, where religions, the monotheistic religions, the modern ones, are conceptualized upon one God, one book. And beyond the book, nothing is the truth according to them. And that's not the case. The real truth is that the more you try and learn, the more you realize that you don't know much. So it guides us and yet liberates us. It brings us joy and contentment. Its principles are universally applicable, and it teaches us that universe is our home and universe is our family. That's all nice, but does such an eternal Dharma really exist in this world, or is it just a theoretical construct? And if it does exist, are we able to grasp the essence of such a Dharma? And if so, are we practicing its values and principles? And even then, do we share this Vidya or knowledge with others? Do we make... Sorry, somebody... Okay, we had to mute somebody. Yeah, sorry about that. And do we make efforts to safeguard such divine dharma? So let's look at this again. Let me ask the audience, do you think it's more of a theoretical construct? What is called as an ideal kind of a world where it is completely kind of not in touch with reality. So do you think such dharma that I described just now is more of a myth, a fantasy, too idealistic that it doesn't really exist in this world? What do you say?
Those who want to talk, unmute, talk, and then mute again.
Dharma exists always. Whether it is no bar, no time, nothing. It is just like shadow.
Yeah.
It is just like Atma. Atma is not a shadow, but Dharma means Atma. Atma means Brahmavidya. Brahmavidya comes from gurus. Depend upon your eligibility. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot for a very comprehensive kind of an answer there. So, yeah, it exists. It's just a matter of whether we grasp the essence of such a dharma. So it exists. It's just as real as the thin air around us and as invisible as the thin air around us. It is there always. And when we are completely tied up with the materialistic wants and wishes and the ever-flowing stream of this Laukika life, naturally we are unable to be in touch with it, and therefore it feels as if it doesn't exist, or if it is more like a fantasy or an idealistic kind of a state. It only requires us to take a pause and reflect, and then we can actually start to be in touch with the eternal dharma, that is Sanatana dharma. So if that's the case, we understand that such a dharma exists. Now, how many of us are able to really grasp the essence of such a dharma? I'm not just talking about the 40 audience here, but in general, how many of us are able to really grasp the essence of such a dharma? It is going to be not a great proportion at the end of the day. Now, of that smaller proportion, how many actually practice the values and principles? The number actually goes down further. It dwindles down further. And of those, how many really share the knowledge with others? So they are now, we come to that stage where they are able to understand and they are practicing. But now, among those, not everyone teaches. They keep the knowledge to themselves. Or even if they teach, I've come across people who use extremely difficult language for a commoner to understand. Only last week, I was addressing a group of young karyakartas on a different kind of an association where they have invited me. And I've realized that when I asked one of the participants to come and explain a few things, immediately he switched to extremely technical and difficult language that perhaps even his co-students wouldn't be able to grasp, although they are in the same journey. And this is the temptation we seem to have, whereby we make it very difficult for us to conceptualize and explain to others and for others to follow, because the language isn't very simple. So our job is to not only practice, but also to teach, so that this divine knowledge actually flourishes. And similarly, among those who are practicing, how many actually make an effort to safeguard such divine dharma? Now, I would like to just ask a very simple question here yet again, which is that in ancient times, who was protecting the people? Whose job was to protect people from any crime and so on? Whose job was to protect people?
Kshatriyas.
Kshatriyas, very good. Thank you for that. Nowadays, whose job is it to protect people in the community?
Politicians.
Police.
It's the
Politicians.
police, right? Police, yeah, it's the police. Yeah, that's, yeah. So if we equate from Kshatriyas, it's now the job is police. Now, in the ancient times, whose job was it to protect the nation? It was the Kshatriyas, isn't it? And in modern times, whose job is it to protect the nation? It's
Military,
the
military,
army.
military.
Yes, it's the military. The military. In the ancient time, whose job was it to protect Dharma?
Rishis. Maharshis.
Kshatriyas.
Gurukulas.
Kshatriyas. Obviously, it was Kshatriya. Protection would be Kshatriyas. In the modern times, who do you find who actually does the same job as the ancient Kshatriyas in protecting Dharma? None. Zero. It's a vacuum. One of the fundamental areas that we are lacking, especially in modern day practice and propagation of Sanatana Dharma, is we have a lopsided approach to it, where everyone is eager to learn and become Brahmajnani, but is unable to develop the Kshatra Guna, whereby the protection aspect is also taken care of. It is to be accepted that as part of the cosmic design itself would mean that Kshatra Bhava has to be there. And what would Kshatra Bhava be? Obviously, forget about right and wrong. When there is creation, when there are volcanoes erupting, when there are earthquakes, they are all violent. Now, I'm not advocating violence here, but we can't wish away by kind of having this idealistic state of thinking that peace prevails. Peace doesn't just prevail like that. Peace is established. Peace is established. But in the process, there is a lot of roller coaster ride that happens, and the victims who may be dharmic are not protected. The ancient times, protection of the dharmics had been fundamentally in place. In modern times, there's this big vacuum there, and we are unsure how to address it. And unfortunately, taking refuge in the whole idea of maintaining harmony. Maintaining harmony is an idealistic goal, but it takes a lot of effort from all parties to reach that state. And even if you see how the various armies in the world would talk about, what do they say? They say they are there, their main job is to maintain peace. They don't say their main job is to go for a war, do they? They don't. So, Kshatra Guna, Kshatra Bhava has to be established so that Dharma prevails. Okay. Now, I've done the part of setting stage to what I would consider as the basic understanding we need to have. I very much deliberately left it as a basic understanding there. Now, one of the things Soham Vidya and Hindu Mitra does is we like to keep things simple. We don't want to complicate matters. Beyond what is necessary, if we go into the details, it only becomes an academic exercise and practice goes out of the window. So we only need that much knowledge of Sanatana Dharma, which is enough for us to even attain moksha, but it has to be fundamentally practiced. So let's do this task here. I want to ask you all, when do you practice something? Just routinely, normally. When do you practice something?
When we feel need about it.
When you feel a need for it, so there is a gain. So there is a
Every
gain.
second required
like for instance,
practice.
gain, sorry.
Every second required practice. Every lip required practice.
Every second.
Required practice.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, that practice is done only when you feel need for it.
Yeah, so there is a need. I think it's a good answer. So when we feel there is a need for something, so there is a gain. Like for instance, I'm playing cricket because I want to play for a club or a sport or a state, for instance. So there's a gain. What else? What are the other reasons why
When we
somebody
feel interest,
practices
when
something?
we have some interest. Actually.
Very good. Yes. When we have an interest or when we love to do it. Yeah. What else?
When you feel benefit out of it.
Yes, again, it's the gain, isn't it? Yeah. Let's look at what other reasons. So one is definitely when we love to do something, we practice it, like music, dance, and art. And when there is a gain, for instance, a job, because we not need to get a job and we need to practice, I need to go to some coaching center so that I brush up my knowledge on IT skills, software skills. And then I practice it so that I get a good job. And even in the job, I had to maintain, so I had to practice skills. We also practice something only when we realize it to be truth. We don't practice something randomly if we don't think that is the truth. And when we trust it, okay? So that's how we choose or how we decide what to practice. But how good is your practice? Now, let us say you have something which you enjoy or which you gain out of that you wish to practice. So how good is your practice? So let's see if you can name something that you love to do or that you gain materialistically from practicing, and something you realize it to be the truth and that you trust. And I want you to name something that is dear to you or that comes to your mind. And I want you to also say how long does your practice last for that, whether it is lifelong or whether it is just for a specific time period. Can you all come with some answers, please?
Good health.
Meditation.
Meditation. Okay, great. Thank you. So that you love to do, and I'm sure you gain out of it as well. It's not necessarily materialistic or not, but you gain out of it.
Yes, and I trust it and lifelong.
You trust it as well. Yes, yes, I'm sure you trust it. And how long would you practice it? How long does your practice last? Lifelong or for only a specific period of time?
Lifelong, and
lifelong. Okay.
And ideally you would do it not for immediate consequential gain.
Sakara and Nirakara required the practice, but initially Sakara we have to take help. Then after crossing the Sakara, automatically Nirakara will come. You will be a Nirakara only in the Dhyanam.
Okay, sure. That's more of the explanation further. But Devika was mentioning about loving to meditate, and there is a gain out of it, and she trusts it, and she would do it for a lifelong. Okay, thanks. Anybody else wants to name something else that you feel you either love to do it or you gain out of it and you practice?
To maintain good health, relationship and happiness.
Yeah. What do you practice? Sorry.
Health, relationship, and happiness.
Health,
relationship, and happiness.
Okay. Healthy relationship. Okay.
Fitness, good fitness. Fitness, relationship, and happiness.
Fitness. Okay. Okay. So fitness, again, physical exercise. Okay. Sure. Right. Anyone more answer? Just
practice
one more.
You practice
Seva. Doing seva.
Okay, let us control this. Now,
Yeah, doing seva.
Yeah. May I come in, Ramakrishna again?
Sorry, I think the connection got lost.
Okay, Ramakrishna garu.
Yeah. Before
Yeah,
I.
sorry.
Yeah. Srinivasa garu, I just wanted to ask you, can you please clarify the number 3 and 4 between them, again?
Well, it's not, see, when you practice something knowingly, if you think that that is false or that leads you nowhere, would you practice it? You won't practice, right? Ultimately, whether you love something to do, that is your truth. When you love something, that is your truth. Naturally, you are practicing it. And when you actually find gain out of practicing something, you would have made a lot of things that really gets me a job, and you establish that it is the truth, and then you practiced it, isn't it?
Yeah, but that is already covered under, the number 2.
No, definitely not. That's a process. The number 1 and number 2 are your more like the motivations. Number 3 is an emphasis. It adds the emphasis. It makes your resolution greater.
Okay, thank you.
Doing service, doing service, seva.
Seva, okay. So you love to do it, or do you gain out of it?
Need not worry about gain or loss or profit. You do whatever your dharma says.
Okay.
Whatever Guru
Let
says.
her answer.
You have to do.
Let her answer, please. Yeah, it's just a conversation. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we love to do it because it is part of Dharma.
Okay, sure. All right, thanks a lot. I mean, these exercises are always interesting because we have a conversation when we talk to each other, and that's why I include them. Otherwise, it will be a monologue. All right, so what we have looked at is whether we actually understand what we practice. When do we practice? And we practice when we love something or when there is a gain. And we also looked at how good our practice is and whether we really practice it lifelong or for a specific period of time. Now, Adi Shankara very clearly says in its Viveka Chudamani, Nagachati Vinapanam Vyadhiraushada Shabdata Vinaparokshanabhavam Brahma Shabdair Namuchate. A lot of things are understood by theory, but are not necessarily put into practice. Sanatana Dharma, which actually advocates the importance of practicing, because if we don't practice and if we just utter the theoretical construct, it is completely meaningless. And unfortunately, a lot of practitioners of Sanatana Dharma are very heavy or very sound on theoretical understanding, but the practical application is very much questionable. And this is one of the problems that we need to address collectively. Remember, our aim is to raise the collective consciousness, the attitudinal change, the collective civilizational attitudinal change that we need to bring about. It's not about an individual. And hence, we have to still look at Sanatana Dharma and remind ourselves that practice, experience on top of the theoretical knowledge is a fundamental requirement. Now, if I love doing something and I'm practicing it, like for instance, yoga or meditation, or even seva that Lata was mentioning, I would surely talk about it to my friends, don't I? I would talk about the gains. I would talk about how enlightening the meditation tends to be, how relaxing it is, what are the benefits it brings in me for my own health, my relations, isn't it? What am I doing there? I'm actually propagating it. I'm actually ensuring that the knowledge is transmitted because I'm joyous, and that joy, I am actually sharing that joy with others. And also, I feel that others can benefit out of it. And therefore, I'm talking and propagating it because I love what I have been practicing, and I find benefits out of what I practice. This is what the slide is about. So when you practice it or experience it, that is when you propagate, because you love to do it. There is a gain from it, or you realize it to be the truth. You trust it, you are loyal to it, or you are surrendered to it. It could be one or many, a combination of the factors. But then how effective is your propagation of what you practice? And if it is not effective, you need to question yourself. What stops you from propagating what you practice? Perhaps you never loved it in the first place. It's a mechanical act, like mechanically following Sanatana Dharma, for instance. Mechanically, kind of because it's been handed over. I have no heart in it. I'm just mechanically doing it. Or you don't see any gain out of it. In fact, I very provocatively asked this question in various groups. What makes you stay a Hindu? What is the benefit of staying a Hindu? You know?
Because it is truth. It is the truth.
Because it is truth. Yes, thanks. Yeah. Or perhaps you realized it to be false, or it is a lie. Now, I'm not talking about Sanatana Dharma here. I'm talking about what you've been practicing. And suddenly you feel, or somewhere you feel that you don't really kind of trust it anymore. It's possibly a lie. It's been made up. God has been made up, for instance. God has been, so I don't want to believe anymore. I'm turning an atheist. Okay, that's fine. This is not about whether it's right or wrong. It's about reflecting upon ourselves. When we practice something, what makes us practice? And when we are propagating, we do it out of love or gain, or we trust. And when we are not propagating, we need to question ourselves. What stops us from propagating? Perhaps I don't love it. Perhaps I don't gain from it. I don't think it is true. I don't have any faith in it. Any questions so far on this?
It may be due to.
Yeah.
It may be due to the other person not willing to accept our ideas, and we don't want to quarrel with them. Na atapaskaya Bhagavad-Gitayam Bhagavan Krishna vadati. Those who don't have faith, you don't tell them. Those who have, you tell them. Otherwise, you leave them. Like that also sometimes we leave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So eligibility, whether the other person has the right kind of the preparation, the mental preparation to receive the knowledge. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So same Bhagavad-Gita, we can actually look at, that is the recipient's issue, but the one who is going to deliver the message. Navam dushkritino moodaha prapadyante naradhamaha maya apahrita jnanaha asuram bhavam ashritaha. There are 4 kinds of people who do not surrender unto me. Those who are ignorant of me, those who lazily follow their lower nature though capable of knowing me, those with deluded intellect, and those with the demoniac nature. Now, I'm not interested in any others but the one in the red, because the very tamasika guna is the biggest challenge we have, again, as a collective consciousness, collective civilizational attitude of being extremely kind of laid back, even though we are capable of knowing the knowledge. And the knowledge includes here the very idea of teaching others. So that brings me to the question of, can a Hindu actually propagate divine knowledge? Because I don't see many propagating. In fact, a lot of people shun the idea of Hindus propagating knowledge. because we are not considered to be evangelical. So what is the take? Do you think Hindus are allowed to propagate?
The take is that, even Lord Narada, Sage Narada has received a message from super consciousness that, you have to visit each and every loka and make them understand about me. So it means that we have to make Dharma Prachar.
Right.
So,
okay.
So it is.
Yeah, thank you.
It is to each and every human being to make a very good Dharma Prachar as far as his possible limits are concerned.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for that. And Sharath obviously has very good understanding of Shastras as well. So it's good to have his inputs often. Now, I want to know whether there is any Shastra Pramana, anything from the scriptures that you can think of, whether it allows a Hindu to propagate, or any scriptures which actually say that we are not allowed to propagate.
Bhagavatam clearly says. Bhagavatam clearly says. Bhagavatam clearly says.
Okay. Okay, sure. What about others?
Not required any kind of examples, because sun means sun, like that. Dharma means dharma.
Anybody wishes to say? I want to know whether we are allowed to not understand so far.
Vijay Lakshmi.
We are allowed to those who everywhere who tell such things, and those who hear, those who tell, they are my devotees.
Okay, I don't seem to hear anybody.
Sir, there are 6 duties to every Brahmin. One is learn and teach. The other is do yajnas and practice yajnas. The other is accept dhanam and for the purpose of delivering the same to others. So it is permitted in the Bharata, Mahabharata.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I lost the connection and got reconnected again. Thanks for that.
One second.
So, yes.
Actually, actually, it is not only the teaching done to the Brahmins, and I request everyone. It is not only for Brahmins. Everyone is intended to preach and teach to each and every fellow human being.
Okay, all right, thanks. Okay, so shall we proceed then? We'll just go forward. Okay, so without any doubt in mind, Hindus can propagate the divine knowledge, and let us see evidence from Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-Gita, just snippets, because I'm sure there are other sources of information as well. I'm going to quote Potana Bhagavatam, which I read, came across. I haven't read the Vyasa Bhagavatam, so pardon me for those who don't understand Telugu here. I just put the Telugu text. So it translates as son Narada. So Brahma and Narada are having a conversation, and Narada was asking about his role, I guess, and Brahma was teaching him. And son Narada, these Bhagavata stories of Narayana are well respected, for they convey Vedic knowledge. With moksha as the goal, the divine itself has composed this Bhagavata. It is a kalpavruksha for bhaktas and is greatest among all shastras. I have narrated its details to you. You may extensively propagate this divine knowledge in this universe. Now we know for sure that Narada was tirelessly propagating anyway. That itself is proof for us to know what our job is. And what does Bhagavad-Gita say in 18th chapter? Ya imam paramam guham mad bhakte shavidasyati bhaktim maya param kritva mame vaishyata samshayaha. Those who teach this most confidential knowledge among my devotees perform the greatest act of love. They will come to me without doubt. So there are two components there. One, he actually sanctions the idea of teaching the divine knowledge to the bhaktas, so the deserving bhaktas. Fair enough. Let us call them the deserving bhaktas and not any random person. But still, the very idea of teaching is sanctioned. And what happens to the one who actually teaches, particularly with love? They come to me, as in they have direct ticket to moksha, let us say. Perhaps propagation of divine knowledge has been practiced since the beginning. Narada Maharshi showed us the way. In Bhagavad-Gita, Sri Krishna Paramatma confirmed that divine knowledge can be taught. Adi Shankara and Swami Vivekananda also set example to follow. I'm sure propagation of Sanatana Dharma had been taking place. If not, we don't have this picture which I took from Bali. You know, in Bali, you don't have Hinduism now if it wasn't for propagation. So what does it mean if divine knowledge is not propagated? Either it has been rejected as it's not true. Remember the very slide where we looked at why we don't effectively propagate? Perhaps we don't trust. I think we need to be very honest to ourselves. Perhaps we don't trust Sanatana Dharma much. Perhaps we don't think it is the truth. Or perhaps we don't understand it. That is also possible. Or purely that we just can't be bothered. Life is going on peacefully. Peaceful existence, as long as things stay peaceful. Let there be anything that may be happening around the world. Let the dharmics, even if the dharmics are being kind of traumatized or humiliated, it's not going to be my business because they haven't come to my door. They are not bothering me. That is obviously apathy. That is the laziness. Dharma Stapana has to happen just no, you as one, are.
I think there is a disconnection in the middle. Is anyone available?
Sorry for the yeah. Sorry for the disconnection again. We just lost the internet connection here and we got it back. Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sure. So those practicing Dharma have to ask themselves these questions. For not propagating this divine, all-inclusive knowledge only leads to adharma prevailing over. All have the freedom and the right to reject if they do not agree with it. Those who bully or threaten are fanatics who have not understood the true essence of divine knowledge. According to Bhagavad-Gita, we should develop Nishchayatmaka Buddhi, the clarity in thinking, and be decisive when it comes to following Dharma. The knowledge we gain is only to be disseminated, and it is no use keeping it to ourselves. And further clarification from Bhagavatam. What does divine knowledge do? How does it help? It actually helps clear the confusion. It develops good morals in us. By listening to the Bhagavata stories, one who wishes for wins develops it. One who wishes mental strength develops it. And the one who narrates these Bhagavata stories will be blessed by the Divine Almighty. That's the direct translation of this particular Bhagavata Padyam. So, just as Maharshi Narada, Adi Shankara, and Swami Vivekananda
It's breaking, sir. Again, it's breaking.
and build a satsanga wherever we are. It is our job to build a satsanga, just as Sri Akirla Garu has done a wonderful job in bringing you all together in satsanga. Let us all make this initiative spread in further other circles so that Dharma prevails. Can we do that? Can we actually take up the initiative to develop satsangas wherever we are, and also reach out to the bhaktas with love and compassion? Can we do that?
Yes, yes, Mahodaya.
Definitely, yes, sir.
Can I hear more people? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yes, we
Thank
can.
Duty. It is our duty, sir.
Well, you read the next slide. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can. We should understand and practice and
High time,
propagate.
sir. Now, high time. If we don't practice from propagate, high
Finally,
time.
Sorry, I want to finally now touch upon this particular very important point. Who is a true friend? Can you tell me who a true friend is?
Who shows us the correct path?
Who shows us
Path
the
of
correct
truth.
path? Yeah.
Path of truth.
Sir, I have a poem.
Okay.
Agamu valani maralchu, hitardha kalitu jeyu, gopyambu dachu, viduvadapannu, lebadi vedanichu, mitrudi lakshanambula melaguchundu.
Bhartrhari Subhashitam. So that's the Telugu translation of the Sanskritam version.
Sanmitra Lakshanam.
Sanmitra Lakshanam. So this is the slide that I was going to show of qualities of a true friend. Papan nivarayati yojayate hitaya. Guhyam niguhati gunan prakati karoti apadgatam cha na jahati dadati kale sanmitra lakshanamidam pravadanti santaha. Bhartrhari says the true friend is one who helps you overcome bad qualities, inspires you to take the right path, keeps your secrets, proclaims your good qualities, will not abandon you in your adverse times, spares time for you. Can I ask if you are a true friend? Are you a true friend? Based on what Bhartrhari said.
Yes.
Trying to be.
Trying to be.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes, of course.
Yes, I am a true friend.
Now, let us look at a few questions and see whether you qualify to be a true friend. When I say you, it includes me as well. Have you been helping to redirect those who stray away into a wrong path? Have you been?
Yes.
Have you really?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
What about others? Have any others?
Yes, trying to do it.
Trying to do, okay. Silence is golden often in these situations. Have you been helping those who are vulnerable to exploitation?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you been there as a pillar of unconditional support to those who follow the right path?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
I'm only hearing
Yes,
hearing two people, Richa and Vijay Lakshmi.
This
Pillar
third
of
one, yes.
unconditional support to those who follow the right path.
Yeah. Yes, Mahodaya.
All the above three following in life. Confident.
Okay, well, wonderful to have. It will be good to have you as my friend then, Miss Lata. Now, this is really very important. Why? The next slide is where we come to How many of us are able to help those who stray away from Sanatana Dharma? We are failing miserably. Miserably. We just look away when somebody strays away and accepts another faith. I showed a slide where I said, what is Sanatana Dharma in one word? Truth. If Sanatana Dharma is truth, the rest is not true. How do you allow somebody to stray away from the truth knowingly in front of you? Is that being a true friend?
No.
Have you been helping those who are vulnerable to evangelical exploitation because they don't have money, they have ill health, they are vulnerable at that time? A job is guaranteed, but you need to convert. Your ill health will be cured with some oils and prayers. Your ill health will be cured. Where are you? Are you praying for them as a true friend? Are you providing them support in their vulnerable times? Where are you? Missing in action.
Yes, we are following all this.
I'm sorry, when you say we, I don't see we there. I only see you. I see you as Lata. Who is we?
Actually, trying to do as much as possible for our Legion people, whatever help we can provide, trying to do it. Maximum
Okay.
level, whatever, like
Yes, yes. To what extent we can, when we come across such things.
we are trying to do.
And whether we are actually being a true friend in providing the being a pillar of unconditional support to those who follow Sanatana Dharma, we need to introspect. And this provided the reason, this is the reason why we established Hindu Mitra as proud practitioners of Sanatana Dharma, the universal spiritual principles of Sanatana Dharma. We wish to establish Satsanga so that we are there providing the dharmic awareness, the dharmic support system for social welfare. We want to be fearless in practicing Sanatana Dharma. We wish to develop the brotherhood through Samadrishti, the equanimity, loving all as one. We wish to develop the spiritual quest through Shraddha, Bhakti, and Trikarana Shuddhi. And we want to be loving, compassionate to those in need. And the basic foundation is to be established through, let us say, for instance, you have a builder building a colony of houses. The foundation is the same. He doesn't need to ask the individual buyer how the foundation has to be laid. It is the same for everybody. He only approaches them later when he says, which design do you wish to have on top of the foundation? So similarly, the basic foundation is the same for all of us in Sanatana Dharma. On top of it, it is entirely up to you whether you want to do a Nirakara or a Sakara kind of a practice, and whether you wish to have Ishtadevata as a Krishna or a Devi or somebody else. It is entirely up to you. It is none of our business. All we care for is whether you actually understand and practice the basic foundational principles of Sanatana Dharma. Beyond that, truly, it is not our business. That's the plurality we are talking about. I'll leave this slide here. It's a busy slide. It is not part of what the topic today was for presentation. And this culminates in what is expected of a Hindu Mitra. And while I leave this slide here, I'll invite participants, audience to ask any questions or make any comments. And I once again thank organizers, especially Sri Akalla Mahodaya, for inviting me to do this talk today. Thank you.
Excellent. We are going to be very good interactive session. People who are can follow this last slide, and make any questions or discussions or views. Welcome.
Hello, am I audible?
Gautam has raised.
No, Sharat speaking.
Gautam has raised hand. Yeah, let's hear Gautam first. Yeah.
Namaskar. So actually, I saw something called Shraddha Parivar when it was from Panduranga Chathawal, and he got the Templeton Prize for Progressive Religion. Actually, he propagated in a way Sanaatana Dharma, and that was propagated throughout the world, but mostly in Gujarat, Maharashtra, and so on. His starting point was. And there people used to make groups themselves, and then used to go what is called Bhakti Ferry, means propagation of Bhakti, and including, we used to include people gradually. I mean, so much so like a family feeling. That was the main thing, and they used to read Gita. Bhagavad-Gita was this Shraddha means they used to this literature they used to follow Bhagavad-Gita basically, and a lot many projects were done there that combined farming, then many things, many projects like in fishermen things community. They all of them left liquor consuming, and this thing, all the vices, social vices went away. And therefore, he was given a prize. Max's prize was given, and the Templeton Prize for progressive religion, which was 1.2 times of Nobel Prize. Huh?
Yeah, thank you for the information, Gautam ji. I think it's wonderful to know that there are so many wonderful initiatives across as well. We'll try and stick to the topic today in terms of any questions and comments, and we'll let us see if.
What is your procedure? I mean, what is the procedure of your propagation? Do you want to make groups like this and go house to house or something like that?
Okay, so we are a nascent organization. I mean, Hindu Mitra is just a kind of a natural evolution from where we started off with talking and preaching the word of Sanatana Dharma. Currently, we are conducting sessions and working in Visakhapatnam. Right now, I'm translating the content into English so that I can do a session of what Hindu Mitra really means and how everyone can get involved into it. So please give me some time before we can reach out to those interested. Thank you. Okay.
Who is other than Sharat?
So, Sharat, you wanted to say something?
Some question?
Yes.
Yeah, Sharat, please.
Yes. So the one of the participants who are currently in our meeting, and also one of my friends who is not in our meeting, and there are few such people who are under misconception that you have to. It is a duty of only Brahmins, to go preach and teach about Vishnu Tattva or Narayana Tattva or Sanatana Dharma or Atma Tattva or whatever. So this is high time to make them understand, or every one of us to understand that it is the duty of each and every individual, because right from the start of our birth, we all belong to Sanatana Dharma, and there is no any discrimination that Brahmin sole duty to preach and teach all these things. So let us take our own responsibility and come forward to implement all the activities which have been discussed in this right now in the seminar. So this is what I would like to convey. I hope I am clear about it.
Yes,
Okay,
I think it's a very
statement,
important
no
point. Yeah,
Okay,
it's an important point, Sharat, and yeah, it's an important point. Yeah, so definitely worth pondering on and dispel some misconceptions as to who is the guardian or who is entitled or who is allowed to spread the word of Sanatana Dharma or promote it and so on. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yes, Devika. Devika is a psychiatrist who's joining from UK. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for being here, Devika.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for a wonderful presentation and discussion. There were two things. One is thank you for making me aware that actually I do believe in meditation, even if moment to moment there may not be any gain. And I do trust in it because I realize that actually I do go around talking about it to pretty much everyone. I find any opportunity I can to promote it, especially to younger people. And I try to teach it, even when it's not my role to teach it, I just bring it in. So I think when you do believe in something and trust it, and it becomes your passion, and then you just can't stop talking about it and wanting to spread it. And I wasn't aware of that. So thank you. And I was thinking that I think, so that's something that, because I've been fortunate to be brought up to be born into a family where it's quite liberal in terms of beliefs and things. So I haven't had anything imposed on me that I have to follow anything. Unlike in some fanatical kind of, faiths and cultures. So I think what I do is I feel I propagate what I have myself learnt and believed in and owned, and it's become part of my identity rather than my inherited identity, if that makes sense. So inherited, I don't necessarily propagate, but if I own it myself as an individual, then I propagate it, I've realized. And then just one more thing, that I wonder if there's any link with culture as well, because I know living in England that here generally the Indian culture, and I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, but Indian culture isn't always propagated, or people aren't proud to share it. So I wonder whether similarly there's a hesitancy, and even in India on Happy Independence Day, people say it in English. And so even though it's independence from the English. And so I'm just wondering whether there's still that brainwashing from British rule that maybe stops people from also propagating the faith or teachings associated with India.
Yeah, a lot of food for thought over there, Devika. I think importantly, if we put it again as to it boils down to reluctance to accept responsibility. And I would put it as this: there should be pure love towards Bhagavan. There should be pure love towards the Atman. There should be pure love towards the Paramatman. Whatever you may want to do it, say it. It should be out of pure love. Only when we love something so dearly, then do we really talk about it with joy and propagate it. I personally feel that the connection misses there for practitioners of modern day Sanatana, modern day practitioners of Sanatana Dharma. Whether it was the ancient handed over problem, I don't know. I don't want to comment on that. But surely the mechanical ways of practicing Sanatana Dharma has a lot to do with why responsibility is not accepted. And I guess second problem is that the right kind of attitude hasn't been developed, or there has been a lot of kind of brainwashing that we accept that has gone on in the last 100 or more years of being subjugated to a sense of accepting and accommodating. And that's not really very healthy either. So a lot of work for us like psychiatrists, we perhaps understand that a lot of work is really required at the level of cognitive level of really rebuilding or reshaping the right kind of cognitive approach to handle these challenges. So I think all those interested in this area should really come forward to make a change in the society, so that we build in the positive, affirmative, or an assertive kind of approach to propagate what we believe to be true and what we love to be the truth as well.
Yes, I have a point here.
Yeah.
she was trying to hit a point exactly on the nail that people in India are very much towards the Western culture and talking something in English even on Independence Day. So I agree with her point that people are getting fascinated even in India that due to the influence of the most of Western culture, and they are trying to forget their own culture and the great ideas which have been inculcated right from the start of I think before even this universe, because Sanatana Dharma, there is no start and there is no end. So it is a high time to make every one of us to understand the values of the culture, that too from the Bharatavarsha and Bharatakanda, that is Indian culture, and make it implement. And to the matter of fact, and to my surprise, people of Western countries are following Indian culture, and Indian people are forgetting about it. So it is
okay. Thanks. The
and I appreciate.
only word of caution. Yeah, sorry. Thanks. I think in the interest of time, Sharath, only word of caution is please do not equate Sanatana Dharma with the Indian subcontinent alone. Sanatana Dharma has survived after being eliminated elsewhere. It survived in Indian subcontinent. Sanatana Dharma may have different names across the world. In principle, it is cosmic eternal truth, and it can be practiced anywhere across the world. So our job is to make it return back across the world so that everybody breathes in the true cosmic air. Okay, so yes, we have kept it, we have really protected it, we have nurtured it, we have been the spiritual lab. India has been the spiritual lab to develop the science of Sanatana Dharma. We will surely kind of propagate it from whatever we know, but at the same time, we need to also be allowing our brothers and sisters across the world to embrace it with its true essence. And it doesn't necessarily have to be having the Indian connect. If it's not necessary that the cultural connect has to be established for everything. So we'll talk about that at a later time, because it can easily be misconstrued as well, that India isn't the hasn't got the right ownership. No, I'm not saying that, but we also have to make sure that we be accommodative towards the world to embrace Sanatana Dharma. Okay, Lata, you have a question?
It's not a question. Yeah, basically, I just want to tell that my name is Lalita, actually, because I'm in some other group. I had to just put this name. I am part of Veda Samskruti Samiti. Okay. And Veda Samskruti Samiti, the reason I got into it, because it is promoting Sanatana Dharma. As an individual, yes, I right from my childhood, I was imbibed with that culture from my childhood through my parents. And then also I have seen my ancient, all of my ancestors also were in that path. So I try to follow that path, and I am following. Means I'm correcting myself through other divine philosophies, by study or by visiting places, by meeting such Santa, all our ancient, whomever we come across as a guru. Here with Veda Samskruti Samiti, I found that they are also propagating Sanatana Dharma. So we all are working together and serving in whatever possible way it is. And also, I am part of Vivekananda Kendra Kanyakumari also, because they are also propagating Sanatana Dharma. Like this, as individual, the questions, whatever you are raised, I was telling that, yes, how are you helping the people who are under exploitation? All these parts, how much are we practicing in our daily life? All this, we have a scale where we look into ourselves first as individual, and then see how we are practicing it, and then how we are preaching it. That part of it, we are doing it with all these kind of institutions, which are really selflessly working for it. I'm also part of Gita Parivar, where we are teaching Bhagavad-Gita to 150 countries in 13 languages. We are doing selfless service. The reason is being that, yes, let us propagate Sanatana Dharma through Bhagavad-Gita. That's the reason. Like that, there are so many platforms. Like now we came to know about Hindu Mitra, where we can also try, because we know what is the mission of Hindu Mitra with and Soham, whatever you have explained till now. So, wherever we can really intervene or where we can also put a hand into it, I think through Veda Samskruti Samiti, because our president is here, Mahoday is there, and our vice president all are here, we can take a call and really, we can see how we can also extend your propagation. That's what I wanted to say, because, we are 100% Sanatana Dharmis. We want to remain and see this life is fruitful. That's it. That's the objective. As long as God gives an opportunity.
So nice. So nice to
Lalita,
hear.
Lalita ji is our executive secretary. Lalita ji is our executive secretary and from Tirupati, right. And she's actively involved in our activities. And we all, as she told, we are always welcome to associate similar groups like this. And this is a must. This is the necessity of the country today. This is the necessity of the country today, and we must unite together. And that's what the effort going on from Veda Samskruti last, say, 10 years. Out of that, from 2016 onwards, we are conducting seminars associating similar Sanatana Dharma associations. In 2016, we associated 13 associations on Sanskrita Bharati, Sura Bharati, like that organization, ISAR and Sri Veda Bharati, like that. There are 13 organizations are there in Hyderabad. Combining them, uniting them, and we made a seminar. And similarly, in 2017, we have made another seminar, Sanskritam Bharati Kala. There we associated Sanatana Dharmis in Sangeetam and other fields. So we are trying to associate as many people as possible as a group and see that what best we can put our service to bring back the glory. And coming to the Sanatana Dharmas, the universality of it. Yes, as you said correctly, the Sanatana Dharma is universal. It's not one only the Indians' property. You cannot say that. But India is survived, as you said. India has survived Sanatana Dharma, where other places it has taken different shapes. What is the credit goes to the rishis that born on this land, on this Veda Bhumi. The rishis, they have created such an atmosphere, such a culture, manners, and systems in our daily life, which really they understood the real philosophy of Sanatana Dharma and impregnated into the minds and daily way of life. So, because that is impregnated into the daily way of life, it could withstand the force of last 1,000 years here. That is being attacking continuously even today. So even today we are getting attacked, and we are done. And at the same time, the forces are also, the surviving force also coming up. So this is a continuous fight between us, the good and bad, the truth and untruth, dharma and adharma. So it is our young people like you, you are definitely much younger than me, I hope. So young people like you should come forward. And that is our effort to bring back intellectual Kshatriyas and intellectual Gurus. That is the main target of Veda Samskruti Samiti, is to develop intellectual Kshatriyas and intellectual Gurus. If these two are developed again, which were last 1,000 years because of the invasions and killings, mass murdering, and so many things happening. And all these things made us lose these real Gurus of our land. So we have to bring back that, and Gurus should develop and bring back the glory. With this wish, I request Ramakrishna, our secretary from Hyderabad, ask him to speak. Mr. Ramakrishna. Mr. Ramakrishna.
Yes, namaste. First, let me compliment, Srinivasa Garu for a wonderful, thought-provoking, session, a wonderful presentation. And really, you provoked, very nice thoughts. The way you, brought out the subject has been really great. As Lalita ji and our Sri Propagate Garu also mentioned, I just wanted to extend, in one more dimension, almost similar to what they have told, but in a different, perspective. That is, so today we have, as we all just have discussed so many things, like we have Adi Shankara ji created, so many institutions are there. So at one point of time, for example, you mentioned, there is a vacuum in protecting the dharma today, correct? So the gap, has become a little visible today, but the idea was, all these 4 matas, around the country, and the 5th, at Kanchi, they are all supposed to be taking care of the dharma, protecting and all that. So that is one, point I just wanted to make. And correspondingly, we have got so many institutions today. For example, you take Vivekananda institutions, Ramakrishna Math institutions, or you take, Art of Living. We have got Sai Baba related. We have got, so many other, Peethadhipatis, and so many institutions are there. And like Hindu, Mitra, or even Veda Samskruti Samiti, and many others. So there are numerous institutions. So what is perhaps lacking today is the the force which binds and brings all these together to make the best of synergy. So that's what I have perhaps noticed. And so I mean, each institution, and each individual is also doing great job, but across the country, across the world, there are so many such parallel systems developed and also working. Perhaps we are losing that momentum. Perhaps they're all doing great job, but somewhere that maybe people like you, Srinivasa, particularly I address you because as Prabhakar has told, you are quite energetic and young, so perhaps you have to go bring that that thread, and then bring many of these issues. Otherwise, what's happening is people are working in silos. So that's making the whole thing a little perhaps delayed. The effort is getting delayed. Otherwise, it's all wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes, I would like to add here that the Shankaracharyas and all Shankarapitas, they are definitely doing a great service in their own field, in their own areas, in their own circle, and definitely they are doing great service. My wish, or our Veda Samskruti wish, is that all the 5 Shankarapitas come on one platform. We want to see all of them on platform. I invite all the similar institutions like this Soham and Vindutva and all other institutions also, all associations also, to request these Pita. We already made a request to the Kanchi Peethadhipati to coordinate and bring all the 5 people on a platform, make a Dharma Vedika. So all the 5 Shankarpitas of all Shankaracharya and then Kanchi Peetham. The 5 should come on a one platform, and that is our next mission. We are working on that. And how far we are successful, we don't know. But we have started this mission on 3rd Akshaya Tritiya day today, and submitted our Vijnapana to Kanchi Peethadhipati that he should lead all the 5 Peethas and arrange a Dharma Peetham for all the 5 at one Vedika, and show to the Indian public or Hindu public that this is Dharma, and this we are all united, and we must all get united. That the idea of seeing all the 5 Peethadhipatis on one platform itself will create a lot of foundation and mind, so strong and willful mind, and the support and the dhairyam to the public, that to follow and preserve and protect both. This thing will be properly propagated. That's what I felt. So we Veda Samskruti felt, and Veda Samskruti has submitted this Vijnapana to Kanchi Peethadhipati. Kanchi Peethadhipati has also considered that our request and asked us to approach other Peethadhipatis also and make the similar request. And we request all the associations of similar organizations to put forward that request to the Peethadhipatis, and with their these things, and make a platform for this, and towards a Dharma Vedika formation. So that request is there for you also. Please.
Thank you so much.
Try to support us. We all
I'll just make one submission before perhaps we're going to close. If I can just, can I spare a minute?
Sure.
Yeah. It's regarding the approach that we are believing to be sufficient. I think we need to be careful in understanding that Kshatra Bhava is not being represented, and Matas are not going to be the replacement of Kshatra. Now, it can be easily visible how impatient the Hindu awakened Hindus are nowadays. They are impatient and their emotions are quite raw. That is happening because everyone wants to be a Kshatriya, but they don't know how to be a Kshatriya. The Dharma aspect is missing. The Dharmika way of building a Kshatriya has to be a responsibility for all the mature organizations that we wish to kind of represent from. Otherwise, what's going to happen is a lot of misguided Hindus may take things into their own hands and only be disillusioned later on for not having been supported and for misfiring due to their raw emotions. And this is a challenge which we have to realize. Another thing is political kshatra is also missing. Most of the politicians we know are adharmic and they are not dharmic. If only dharmic kshatriyas actually kind of take up, then we are going to see a better dharma rule prevailing. So kshatra guna has to be taken up very seriously and urgently. Too much of, if I may kindly use the words, too much of emphasis on Brahmajnana is going on in a lot of circles, and that needs to be empowered and encouraged. At the same time, Kshatra Bhava has to be given a huge platform. Otherwise, we'll continue to have a lopsided approach towards understanding and protecting and propagating our Dharma.
Perfectly correct. Exactly correct. So that is the idea with which we proceed. We should have a clear goal. We should have a clear goal, and we should work for that. And we should educate the younger generations and make them understand the reality of it, the truth of it, the values of it, the perfection, the abhyasam required for the perfection, and then sadhana and tapas. All these things are required to, and trikarana suddhi. Out of all these things, trikarana suddhi is more important. The trikarana suddhi is required. Manasa, vacha, karmana. They should be implemented. Manasa, vacha, karmana. Then only it can find the results. It's the best management principle given by Vedas, Trikarana Suddhi. So, Mr. Gautam Mukherjee, would you like to add some more now?
I want to tell again, actually, you referred to Srinivasa ji, you referred to that the Kshatriya people, like say RSS and Vishwa Hindu Parishad and so on, they are sometimes overreacting on the being Kshatriya mode, but they may not be, all of them may not be that much proficient in sadhana and personal life in the Dharma actually. You are referring to that. So can it be solved by other way, like already people who know Dharma and they are very advanced in spiritual thing can be on this other side of being Kshatriya also, to make some power of Kshatriya. So this can be a total, hand-holding between the Kshatriya and the realization, I mean, Dharma and that kind of thing. Please suggest.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sure. But kindly, I want to clarify. I don't want to be misquoted here. I have no kind of problems with functioning of RSS or VHP here. I think they know what their job is. They are actually quite mature and very well organized and principled organizations. And I'm not referring to them at all. I'm actually referring to the impatient, unorganized Hindu awakening that is going on in the society. It is happening, and it has to be channelized properly. And this is where we need to pay attention towards.
Yeah, it's correct. Now, I hope no more questions are there. Now I request our Vice President, Dr. Kallan Babu, to conclude the session with his remarks. Please. Babu, please. Dr. Babu. Are you there? Lalitaji, Dr. Babu is there or is he busy?
He is there, Mahodaya.
Dr. Babu? probably is busy. Anybody else would like to give his views, or shall we close? Okay, Satyavati garu, would you like to speak? Satyavati garu is another very interesting lady and working on Sanatana Dharma with various institutions from Bangalore. Satyavati garu, would you like to speak, please? Okay. So we'll close the session. Shanti Mantram. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramayah. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kachchit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhi Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Satyam Vada Dharmanchara Sarve Janaah Sukhino Bhavantu. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu Idam Namama. Hari Om. We close with Janakanamana. Please stand up and then. Janamana Adhinayaka Jaya He Bharata Bhagya Vidhata. Punjab Sindhu Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkala Vanga. Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Ujjvala Jaladhi Taranga. Tava Subhaname Jage Tava Subhashisha Mahe Gahe Tava Jaya Gada Janagana Mangala Dayaka Jaya He Bharata Bhagya Vidhata. Jaya He Jaya He Jaya He Jaya 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 He. Jai Hind, Jai Hind, Jai Hind, Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Ram. Thank you, Srinivasa. Very nice of you for giving us excellent.
Thank you once again.
It's a pleasure to associate with you, and I would like to be associated, and our missions and our actions are going together, going in a similar platform. We are also associated with Samskruti Bharati. I am a president, local president for this Janapad, for Malkajgiri Janapad, and I worked last 10 years. I am working for last 20 years. I am working for Samskruti Bharati, and online I am teaching the Samskruti Bharati classes for Sanskritam, all the 4 levels: Pravesha, Parichaya, Shiksha, and Kovida. Around 200 students are coming and learning online. Last 2 years, COVID, hats off to COVID. So it is giving us online facility to coach the people, and there's a lot of improvement in the people. Babu, have you come? Would you like to speak? Would you have a word? With,
No, in fact, I missed about half an hour of his precious lecture. Do you hear me? Yeah. So what I want to say is thank you all for attending this beautiful webinar. It is all recorded and it will be uploaded into the YouTube and will be shared with you immediately. So thank you very much for all.
Sorry, I want to add on thing that I want to echo, reiterate what Akalaji told, that there are very good attempts, but all should be network. I want to reiterate that. Akalaji already told that all the attempts for awakening of Sanatana Dharma should be network. There should be complete understanding and synchronization within them. Thank you.
So Srinivas Garu, Miru, whenever you want to use our platform for conveying your ideas, you are welcome. You just give us a tinkle to me or to Dr. Babu or Lalita Garu or Ramakrishna Garu, any one of us. We'll associate and arrange a meeting for you again on this Vaidika, and we can interact with the people. Our missions are same. Let us go ahead. Let us make it more stronger and stronger.
Thank you very much for
get
the
success in our mission.
I'll make an attempt to come to Hyderabad to meet you in person, and perhaps I'll also introduce a few Hindu Mitras who are living in Hyderabad. They need your guidance as well. So Sharat, Vasudha, they're all in Hyderabad, so they can
join our groups. Veda Samskruti have got groups. We have got 3 groups, Veda Samskruti, and we have got 2 webinar student groups, and we have got a Sanaatana Dharma group. We are running Sanaatana Dharma class from 6th May onwards, Sankara Jayanti day, 3 months course, Sanaatana Dharma and yoga, and morning 6:30 to 8 o'clock class are going on, and we are wanted to give a certificate on that. We are working on that very seriously to make it 4 levels of the Sanatana Dharma course. And then these are the activities going on. Let us work together. That's what I may.
Definitely.
And
Thank you so much.
whoever wants to join us, let them send their details to me. I will just add in the groups. My number is, you know my number is not.
I'll share your number.
Ask them to send a message. Yeah, ask them to contact me. I will join them. We also please, our webinars every Saturday, Sunday, our webinars will be going on. And one more thing, we conducted the roots of science in modern science in Sanskrit, Veda Samskruti Vangmayam. We got about 50 papers. We already presented about 30 papers, about 25 papers. And we have to present another 25 papers are being presented every Sunday. And you also can participate in those things every Sunday, 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock. It will be there. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock is there. 2 papers are being presented. Very good papers have come on science. What is their science in our Veda Vangmayam? So your mission is to make the educate, to enlighten the public. What is the strength of us? When once you know the strength of our Dharma, then people try to follow. There is one more question in between the slide. There is one question you said, why people are not following? What is this thing? So this reason is not Ajnana. The Ajnana has to be exposed. They should be made knowledge of the Dharma, then people automatically follow. When once the Abhyasam comes to Abhyasam is required for perfection. The perfection is required. So unless perfection comes, things will not improve. So the sadhana, tapas are must. So it is it. And whoever wants to join us, welcome. And it is required. I want to develop a good group of younger generation. Thank you. Thank you very much for your association.
Prabhakar Sastry garu, namaskaram.
Want to talk, you can talk.
నమస్కారం అండి.
చెప్పండి సత్యవతి గారు.
అదే ఇది మనం చేస్తున్న ప్రయత్నం చాలా బాగుంది. చాలా మంది కూడా జాయిన్ అవుతానని అంటున్నారు. వీళ్ళు సనాతన ధర్మ కోర్సులో కూడా మా రిలేటివ్స్ లో మా పిల్లలు వాళ్ళు కూడా అవన్నీ వీడియోస్ అవన్నీ కూడా యూట్యూబ్ లో చూడమని నేను చెప్తున్నాను. వాళ్ళు వీరైతే నెక్స్ట్ కోర్స్ లో జాయిన్ అవ్వచ్చు. చాలా బాగుందని అందరికీ నేను చెప్తున్నాను. వాళ్ళు కూడా ఇంట్రెస్ట్ చూపిస్తున్నారు. ఇంట్రెస్ట్ చాలా మందికి ఉంది. మనం కూడా సాధ్యమైనంతలో అందరికీ అందే ప్రయత్నం చేయాలనే అనుకుంటున్నాను. చెయ్యాలి, చేద్దాం, తప్పకుండా చేద్దాం సార్.
ధన్యవాదాలు.
Okay. Anybody else? Otherwise, we'll close.
Yes, we'll close.
Okay, Gautam.
Save the chat box. Save the chat box.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Dhanyawad.
Namaste.